Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, our old friend Jonathan Alexander. He is now with the Houston Chronicle covering the Houston Texans. And Jonathan, first off, what's up, man? Good seeing you. Secondly, are people still mad at Lovie Smith for how the season ended?
Man.
Because they don't have that number one pick.
First of all, it's good seeing you too. But anytime we talk about the Texans possibly not getting their quarterback, it reverts back to Lovie Smith. And somewhere he's sipping a pina colada on the beach, just laughing because they fired him, but he made them pay in the very end. So yes, Texans fans are pissed. Lovie Smith.
All right, I think people are getting confused here, Jonathan, because they hear this kind of, the Texans are going to run this draft gamut and not take a quarterback. And it's funny because even I fell for it because I was thinking in my head, well, maybe they'll just take Hendon Hooker with a really high pick in the second round, which they own.
Yeah.
But no, they have the number 12 pick.
Yeah.
There's a real possibility Stroud, Levis, or Anthony Richardson, who they may like best, could fall to them at 12. So it feels like we're doing a lot of hand-wringing for no reason.
Yeah. I think there's zero chance that the Texans leave this draft without a quarterback. Like they're going to get one they're either going to trade up from 12 and try to get one, or they're going to get Hendon Hooker at 32 or 33. I think, they have 33. So they're going to get one. They're not going to leave without it. But the number 2 pick is what makes it interesting because you have a chance to get the second best quarterback who's ahead of the other 2 guys. But the word is that they just don't have interest in CJ Stroud, which to me is mind-boggling. But, everybody has their process. They may have found out something that I don't know.
So, well, how much of this also could be a smokescreen? And Jonathan Alexander joining us, he covers the Houston Texans for the Houston Chronicle. I do feel like Stroud is the main character like we have every year ahead of the draft. There is a main character. And it went from he looked pretty good in that loss to Georgia to, well, his S2 cognitive test wasn't so hot, so we don't know if we could really take him. And then there's some question as to whether or not those numbers are even factual. They're completely out of context. So is it if it was a smokescreen, are the Houston Texans trying to move out of that 2 spot? I mean, because they're trying to indicate to other you thought you were going to get Will Anderson, but you're not. We're going to take him. I mean, how much of this could be them kind of posturing ahead of the draft?
I mean, all right, so Nick Caserio is probably one of the most secretive people in the league.
Okay.
You talk to GMs, anybody, they'll tell you he doesn't have relationships with other guys. One time in a press conference, it was a press conference right after they fired Lovie Smith, and a reporter, he's more of a blogger, but a reporter was like, I'm tired of you using all these word salads, like toss around things. So if it was a smokescreen, I wouldn't be surprised because that's Nick Caserio's MO. But having said that, I do think that there's some truth to the fact that the Texans aren't high on CJ Stroud.
Okay.
CJ Stroud's people and I remember asking them, some of his people, why do you think the Texans aren't here at the pro day? Like, I'm not surprised. Like, they don't really have a great relationship. I don't think that's played the major part in it, but I think that does factor into it a little bit. So it could be part of a smokescreen. I think they do want to trade back. If they could get a big haul and still get their guy who they think is a quality pick later on. So I think that does play a little bit of part of it in it.
Jonathan, I'm not going to accuse you of covering college football because you cover the NFL.
Yeah.
But they have the number 2 pick in the draft. I think they'll have their choice of everyone not named Bryce Young. I think the truth of the matter is, though, I think one of the players that's not a quarterback is probably the best actual player in this draft.
Yeah.
And I don't want to accuse the Texans of trying to do something smart because God knows they haven't done anything smart in a long time. But could they just be sitting there and going, you know what? All things being equal, Will Anderson's the best player in this draft, and we're going to take him.
Yeah. I think that is the most likely scenario that's going to happen. I don't think you're going to find a team. The only team that I think that they would trade back with possibly is the Minnesota Vikings, and they're all the way at 24. And the Texans are going to have to figure out, do we want to fall back all the way that far? Okay. I don't think they will. I think the most likely scenario is they draft Will Anderson, get the best defensive player in this draft, aside from Jalen Carter, who has off-the-field issues, and then try to get your quarterback a little bit later by trading up. I think that is possibly, or at 12, which I think if they take Will Anderson at 2, then the Cardinals might not be able to trade back. So you'll have two defensive players going back to
Yeah.
back, which will push the quarterbacks further back, which will give them an opportunity to get a quarterback at number 12. So I think that's entirely possible.
Jonathan Alexander covers the Houston Texans for the Houston Chronicle. He's joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. We know what the Panthers are going to do. They're going to take Bryce Young, or at least all indications are they're going to take the Bryce Young. Unless, Jonathan, somebody in the Panthers organization, when you used to cover them, mistakenly sent you a scoop here recently. Like they haven't updated their contacts or something like that. You're not still getting some info from the building, are you?
I talk to them all the time. I've been chatting with people in the Panthers organization. They told me before when CJ Stroud was like super, like when everybody was like number one on CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
I had people telling me like Bryce Young's the safest pick. Like I like him. Like
Okay.
They weren't telling me they were going to pick him, but they were telling me that about Bryce Young. So I always kind of had that indication, like, okay, y'all Texans fans, y'all better calm down. Y'all might not get Bryce Young. So, and recently I asked somebody, I was like, I was talking to somebody in Panthers organization. I was like, all right, so what the Texans love Bryce Young. What would it take for them to trade up? And they were like, it would take a haul. Like they're going to have to give us everything. I think that the Panthers have an idea. They like another quarterback, but they love Bryce Young so much. Like they would have to get a lot in return to move down. So
We should probably point out that Jonathan used to cover the Panthers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought I added that content.
I don't know.
Maybe I didn't.
We're locked in on the Texans right now. I mean, Jonathan, we're not wading into the NFL world. I don't know if you know this or not, but on the internet, the NFL is very popular.
Very popular.
Rumors.
We're just figuring this out now.
Yeah.
Because there'll be people on this video right below us that will be commenting, telling you
Very obvious.
that we don't know anything.
Yes, this is true. I mean,
sometimes it's fair.
That is fair.
Sometimes.
That is fair. Although I did want to get back to that. And again, as Giglio mentioned, yes, Jonathan used to cover the Panthers for the Charlotte Observer. And it's great that you're still in communication with them. And there was a thought when they moved up to take the top pick in the draft. The idea of, I think the phrase was, we control the draft now. And people were concocting these draft day movie scenarios where they moved up
Your fan fiction scenarios.
to move back. And that's what mock drafts are, man. They're fan fiction at this point. It's essentially the furries of the NFL.
Yeah.
So I thought that was ridiculous. But it looks like, I guess, the Panthers, based on your conversations, I mean, they're not opposed to it if the Houston Texans really, or if anybody else really was hell-bent on getting Bryce Young, that they would be at least willing to talk.
Yeah, I think that the Panthers have probably multiple people that they like at this point. They love Bryce the best. They have multiple people that they would be okay if they move down, if they got a good haul, because they lost so much in that trade.
They did.
To get number one.
Yeah.
And they're thinking about the future too. And if somebody were to give them like a haul, a first round pick, a future first round pick, maybe second round pick, and a little bit more to make up with what they lost, and they could still get a quarterback that they really like, I think that they would do that. But I know that the Texans aren't going to offer what the Panthers hope that the Texans would give them.
Jonathan Alexander, Houston Chronicle, covers the Texans.
I think he covered a Hendon Hooker game between Carolina and Virginia.
I did.
think you
I was talking
did,
to somebody about that. I was talking to somebody about that recently. That's funny that you brought that up.
Back when you were with us in Raleigh.
That was so long ago, dude. And then look, it's just now coming.
Wait, how many years ago was that when he came through?
Dude, so
VT?
this had to be like 18, right? Like
Yeah.
Jeez.
17, 18.
It's like he played. He was really good. He was like one of the first to say, this Fuente guy is a wing nut, which is what I said. And then all their fans were like, you're the worst, Giglio.
Yeah.
I have not heard from them since. That's really weird.
Weird how that panned
That's how
out.
it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, maybe that's the answer. Although it sounds like now, if you trust some of this draft intel, Jonathan, we'll be seeing Hooker go later. But that would be fascinating to see Minnesota come up, take, I would assume, Levis, and then the Texans there and take Hooker there at 24. That'd be awesome. And I would definitely say you said it first.
Yeah.
As first reported by.
As first.
Jonathan Alexander, Houston Chronicle. Hey, man, we appreciate it. Good catching up with you. Have fun. When are you taking off for Kansas City?
I'm staying here.
Oh, you're staying there? Okay.
Yeah, they're doing like a quick turnaround to bring the players back. So I'm staying in in Houston.
Oh, Joe, they hold your hand on draft day, buddy.
Oh,
Once you're with them in the NFL, they care about the NFL media.
Oh, I
But
see.
Jonathan knows the real struggle of trying to cover the draft from the college side. When you're not in the room, you're not at, at the facility. You are a complete and total afterthought. But when you're there, you're their guy.
And Giglio's learning another level.
Always the afterthought. I'm always the afterthought.
No, he's learning another level to being an afterthought. Then there's radio afterthought. Nobody really cares about us. All right, Jonathan, we'll talk to you later, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all.